Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of A Cup of What. If you were with us the other week, you saw we went over to England and we tried a chip company called Walker's and their different types of chips. This week, though, I promised would be a little different. We're actually going to bake something on this episode. Now, back whenever I was trying to get this channel up and started, still trying, I had a friend contact me on Facebook. And people were giving me different kinds of foods to try, but this was actually a recipe. And they suggested that I try something called black bean brownies. Now, I really like brownies, and I don't know how many people who don't. They're a great chocolatey sweet treat. I'm not keen on black beans being put in my brownies. Not sure how I feel about that. But you know what? This show is all about looking into weird and odd different foods. So, fits the bill. We're going to take a look at it today. Black beans in my brownies just, I don't know. Doesn't sound good. So I did some research. Well, apparently, there's this thing called gluten that's in almost everything. Yeah, pretty much everything. And there's a lot of people allergic to it. So many people, in fact, that they are saying that there is 1 in every 133 people who have a sensitivity to gluten. Now, it could be as serious as celiac disease, or it could just be a gluten sensitivity. This is a huge issue right now. There are so many people whose diets have to change because of gluten. Now, gluten is generally found in your wheat, your grain type products. It's a protein. Well, brownies use flour, which therefore would have gluten in it. So we need to get rid of the flour. So what you're going to see today is a recipe for brownies that is completely flour-free. I took this recipe from A Taste of Home, and I'll include it down in the description. So if you think this is a good recipe, you can try it at your own place. There are a ton of different black bean brownie recipes out there, so you're welcome to try whatever floats your boat. If you're looking for something more vegan, less gluten-free, what have you, there's got to be all kinds of different stuff out there. There was one recipe I saw that had coffee in it. I hate coffee. 100% hate coffee. I'm not putting coffee in my black bean brownies. Plain and simple. I got enough issue putting beans in my black bean brownies. I'm not putting coffee in there. So, let's take a look. Here's the ingredients. Firstly, you're going to need an entire 15.5 ounce can of black beans. Have them, and you want to make sure that they're drained. Next, you need a half cup of semi-sweet chocolate morsels. This is a little over a half cup because, in my book, a couple extra chocolate morsels never hurt anybody. You need 3 tablespoons of canola oil. I use olive oil, personal preference. You can use canola oil. I'd be very careful with some of the other oils you'd use, like corn oil and different things. It has a different taste, and so the oil might seep in and actually change the taste of your brownies. Next thing you need are going to be 3 eggs, 2/3 a cup of packed brown sugar, half a cup of baking cocoa, you need 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and the last 2 ingredients I combined. You need 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt and 1/2 of a teaspoon of baking powder. So, the other things you're going to need. You're going to need a blender. I suggest some silicone spatulas to get your stuff out. And you're going to need a good old baking dish. So here's the recipe. Take a blender. Got it. Boom. We're good to go. Empty your cup of black beans straight into the blender. Get them all in there. Make sure you get every single last black bean in there. Okay? Good. We got our black beans in there. Don't mind the smell. They do not smell good, which is not putting this into a good perspective for me right now. But you then want to take half, so a 1/4 cup of your chocolate, semi-sweet chocolate morsels, and you're going to put them in with this. That looks good. You then want to follow that up with your 3 tablespoons of oil. So we add that in there. Good. There we go. Get the rest of the oil in. Boom. Okay, we've got our first 3 ingredients mixed. Place the top on your blender or your mixer, your smoothie maker, whatever you are using. Okay, I'm using a Ninja here. This is generally what I make my smoothies with. Pop that on, and then you want to blend this until it's nice and smooth. Now you may notice that you have to go in a couple times and you've got to push down your beans on the side so you get a nice mixture here. Okay, so let's try this again. Okay, good. You've got it blended. Now, it's not going to be completely smooth yet because we've got a lot of other things to put in. So, here we go. Next things we want to add in are our 3 eggs. Now, if you want crunchy brownies, you can put the entire egg in. I don't recommend it though. Okay? I recommend you break them and you drop in your eggs. 1, 2, and 3. All right. Next, follow that up with your brown sugar. After you've added your brown sugar, take your cocoa. Whoop, slip that in. Good. Your vanilla. And finally, your salt and your baking soda. Oh, now you have just put all the rest of the ingredients in here. Now we want to blend this till smooth. That could take a while. We've got a lot of stuff going in here. You just saw the cocoa powder shoot come out. Now I recommend about halfway through. You know, it's nice and smooth, but I do hear some hard chunks in there. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to push it down, but it is turning into what seems to be a batter. But I won't lie, it stinks. It smells like black beans, which black beans kind of have that, if you've ever carved a pumpkin for Halloween, kind of has that pumpkin-y-ish smell to it. Not necessarily a smell that turns me on for brownies. So let's give this another couple seconds pulse. Let's get this all nice and mixed up. Looks like there's not too many hard things still rotating around in there. So now we need to take our pan. We need to put our batter in our pan. Keep in mind, at the beginning of this, and I should have told you this, you should have preheated your oven at 350 degrees. So our oven's already set, and it is good to go. So, take the top off. Let's take our blades out. And let's pour in our batter. Now, this actually doesn't look bad, but the smell is still kind of throwing me off. I'm not sure how I'm feeling about this at the moment. So make sure we get all of our batter out. Alright, that's good enough for me. So make sure it's nice and level. Now we have it nice and level. But remember, we only used part of one of our ingredients. We still have part of our chocolate chips left. So take them and sprinkle them on the top of this. Should give you a nice kind of chocolate crust here on the top. You can use more or less if you want, but there we go. So, we have something that looks a little bit like this. And we're going to take this, we're going to put it in our preheated oven, 350 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes. I recommend about the 20-minute mark, you take a toothpick and you stick down in these. If it comes out clean, your brownies are done. If it comes out with a little bit of brownie batter on them, leave them in for a couple more minutes and then recheck them with another toothpick. So let's pop these in and see how this is going to go. Welcome back, everyone. We've left our black bean brownies bake in the oven. Took me actually 26 minutes until I was able to get a toothpick to go in the center and come out clean. So a little bit longer than the required time, but it all depends on your oven. So we pulled them out. They look like this. They look like brownies. It actually smells like brownies in here. It smells very chocolatey. What we want to do now is we want to take these and we want to set them on some type of a wire rack to allow them to cool. I've actually had these out for a couple minutes now. They're starting to cool down. So I'm going to actually cut these and see what they look like. I am going to say this. I completely forgot something in my recipe that's hopefully not going to come back to bite me too bad. But my baking dish that I put my brownie batter in, I forgot to butter it or spray in some Pam or something like that. So I'm really hoping these don't stick too badly to the pan. So let's see if I can get one of these suckers out. Okay. My serving dish here. It actually didn't stick. That was nice. But you can definitely tell this thing is warm. I got steam coming off of it. But there you go. There's what they look like. Look like a traditional brownie. Actually looks super moist. Probably cool enough to eat. Smell generally like a brownie. Let's dig in. Still moist throughout the brownie. You can, though, now get kind of an earthy smell to it. Definitely not chocolate. Something earthy, something maybe shouldn't belong in here. But not enough that it repulses me that I'm not going to try this. The texture of the brownie is actually really wonderful. I've had a lot of brownies in my life. And a lot of times I get them and they are so dry that they crumble in your mouth. It feels like you're chewing on leather sometimes. This isn't. This is actually really, really moist. I'm thinking that might be attributed to the beans, being able to keep it in there, keep the moisture in it. Although these do have a nice texture, and they're nice and moist. Although I knew that I was eating a brownie, it's not one that I'm going to go and do backflips for. It's good. It has a very nice chocolatey taste. But I think the black bean in this kind of hinders that chocolate taste. I just don't think that the chocolate is able to come the whole way out through this. Still not a bad recipe, and you know what? If you are somebody who is allergic to gluten, I would definitely go with this. Doesn't have a bad smell to it now that it's baked. Doesn't have a bad texture, doesn't have a bad taste. This overall is actually a decent recipe for something I was very, very skeptical about. I'm going to give this probably 4 stars out of 5, more or less because of the surprise factor. You heard in the beginning of my review that I was not hepped up on this being a black bean brownie recipe, that I was going to have black beans in this. I honestly can't really tell that there's black beans in this. This is really, really good. Again, not the best brownie. Probably if there was some caramel mixed in with this, this would be fantastic. But not the best brownie I've had, so it doesn't get a 5 out of 5. It gets 4 out of 5. Pretty good choice. Now, next week, we're going to head up to Canada, and we're going to try a variation of something that we eat here in America by the pounds each and every day. But they have a different twist on it. And you know what? You can actually buy it in a lot of their fast food restaurants. Stay tuned. I'll see you next week. Catch you later.